Mary Sue. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot through fandoms of all types. Almost exclusively seen as a negative trait, Mary Sue characters are held up by fans as proof that certain characters suck or the writing of a particular show is bad. The Miraculous fandom's not immune to this, and over the past year or so after Season 3 ended, I've been seeing more and more discussion about one character in particular being a shining example of Mary Sue-dom. That character is, of course, Marinette. This has got me thinking, is she actually a Mary Sue, or are people just misinterpreting the character? It's one of those big debates that rips the fandom in two, and wherever those discussions are had, inevitably it turns into a flame war. The main problem with the discussion is there's no universal checklist for what actually makes up a Mary Sue. Interpretations differ between different people as to what constitutes Mary Sue-like characterization. In the interest of figuring this out though, I've pored over pages of discussion and wiki articles to put together a list of the most common Mary Sue indicators. Now obviously there are other Mary Sue qualifiers, but these 4 are the ones I've found most commonly cited when people argue about whether someone's a Mary Sue or not. So let's see how these can be applied to Marinette and whether she can be considered a Mary Sue. We'll start with indicator 1. They are essentially perfect. All their endeavours succeed, they're talented, popular and beloved, nice characters always love and adore them, mean characters hate them with the burning passion of 1,000 suns. Marinette is essentially perfect. She's popular at school, with almost the entirety of her class liking her, and she was voted class representative. She's a hugely talented designer, having designed Jagged Stone's album art, and her fashion designs have been featured by prolific fashion mogul Gabriel Agreste. On top of that, she's a video game prodigy and dominates Max literally out of nowhere after no build-up or any sort of reference to this kind of skill. She's also selected as a choice to play Ladybug in another famous musician's music video. She's an object for desire for heaps of guys in her social sphere. Nino originally had a crush on her. Nathaniel had a crush on her. It's implied that Adrian has some suppressed feelings for her whilst he's actually full-on in love with Ladybug, which is also her. Luca, the older brother of one of her close friends, is also clearly interested. She even manages to turn her rival for Adrian, Kagami, into a close friend. On top of this, out of everybody in Paris, she is chosen to wither Ladybug Miraculous, and she quickly masters it. And not only that, she becomes the most powerful Miraculous wielder in history according to Master Fu, and wields more Miraculouses at once than anybody has before, as a teenager. Oh, and did I mention her parents adore her and dote over her and also run one of the most successful bakeries in all of Paris? And that she was able to reconcile her father and estranged grandfather? And that she's seen as an extremely responsible person by many adults? She even babysits the child of one of Paris's most prominent news reporters. And what are all these extremely positive traits and skills offset by? She's clumsy, somewhat creepy in regards to Adrian, and sometimes jumps to conclusions too quickly. Whilst I get that these are negative traits, they're definitely not enough to even slightly offset all the positives. So for indicator 1, I definitely have to say she checks the box for Mary Sue. But never fear, there's 3 more categories to go. On to indicator 2, Mary Sues are always right and make the correct decision. If they do happen to make a mistake, it doesn't matter because it's immediately rectified, or it's shown that it was meant to happen like that. Anytime they could have a character building mistake, it's turned into a positive. I'll just straight up say, I don't think Marinette really fits this description very well. I think a running theme of the show is that she struggles with making the right decisions, and often she makes the wrong decision, and that ends up with someone getting akumatized. Examples of this include the Christmas episode where she beats up Santa because she thought he kidnapped Adrian, or where she destroys Max in a fighting game and takes his spot on the team to get close to Adrian, or when she hurts the feelings of the ice cream guy. In these instances, they get akumatized, she feels guilty, and she learns a lesson. Yes, she still makes mistakes, but it does slowly shape her character. But beyond that, I think there's actually 2 bigger examples of her mistakes actually affecting the long-term storytelling. One, in Cap Blanc, she accidentally reveals that she's Ladybug to Adrian. This sets in motion a chain reaction of events that ends up killing everyone in Paris in an alternate timeline. Whilst that's all wiped away by the end of the episode, it still creates consequences for the story going forward. Namely, that she can't reveal who she is to Adrian, and they can't be together until Hawkmoth goes down. And example 2, she accidentally leads Hawkmoth to Fu and loses all the Miraculouses. This results in a huge battle, all her hero friends having their identities revealed, and Fu losing his memories and leaving forever, which leaves her without a mentor going forward. These mistakes actively shape the plot and don't just get waved away. They have consequences to the story. So for indicator 2, I don't think she fits the bill for being a Mary Sue. Indicator 3 is that the character makes other characters look terrible in comparison or behave out of character to shape the narrative to suit the Mary Sue. Other characters suddenly become incompetent to show off how smart or strong the character is. It doesn't matter if it's a teammate or an enemy, whenever a Mary Sue is around, their abilities always fail, and Mary Sue gets to shine. Now, I don't think this is much of a problem for Marinette's civilian identity as it is for her Ladybug persona. To put it simply, Ladybug is so overpowered that she actively makes her side characters and villains look like trash in comparison. We'll start with the villains. They always start off the episode with the advantage. They are the obstacle that she has to overcome. But then inevitably Marinette comes up with some genius plan to foil them and destroy the Akuma, leaving Hawkmoth angry crying in his hideout. Whenever one of the Akumatized villains is about to get one of the Miraculouses, they always do something stupid instead, which results in them abruptly losing. When Hawkmoth actually joins the fight with Mayura, suddenly she has a fainting spell and they have to conveniently run away. You'd think that an adult who spends almost all his time plotting to get the Miraculouses would be able to come up with some good plans that could outwit teenagers. But since the heroes have to win, he's actively dumbed down to prevent them losing. In essence, she, and even Cat Noir, are covered head to toe in solid gold plot armor. Next up we have the hero characters, and I'll include former heroes like Chloe into this category. Because Ladybug is presented as this unstoppable warrior who kicks ass and destroys Akumas left and right, as well as the only character that can actually defeat the villains properly, this always leaves the minor heroes living in her shadow. Since they can't actually finish the job, they always need to look to Marinette as their guiding light, as their hero. Cat Noir is pretty much the same. Whilst he does have the edge over the lesser heroes, he still gets overshadowed quite a lot. Need a hero to get Akumatized, hypnotized, or mind controlled for Ladybug to defeat? Cat Noir's the man for the job. Need a hero to go missing for an episode or get defeated and held captive to be rescued? Cat Noir is your guy. Need somebody to save the day? You'd better look for someone else. So for indicator 3, I'd say Marinette checks the box. The final indicator is a tragic backstory that makes you feel sympathy for the Mary Sue and makes them look impressive for overcoming it. And thankfully, Marinette doesn't have that at all. She actually has a refreshingly happy backstory in home life. If anybody has the typical Mary Sue backstory, it's Adrian without a doubt. So, of the 4 categories, Marinette fits the bill for about 2 of them. So, on the bright side, she isn't a full-blown Mary Sue, but there's still a big problem with checking off 2 of the categories. She's halfway down the path to becoming a full-on Mary Sue, which would pretty much destroy the character entirely, because Mary Sues never have character stakes, and they warp the development of the story they appear in. Honestly, at this point, I think the best way to fix the character and prevent her from descending into the realm of Mary Sue is to make her more vulnerable. Make it seem like villains can actually win. Make it seem like she actually needs her teammates for more than a few seconds at a time. But, as always, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Is Marinette a full-blown Mary Sue? Is she not a Mary Sue at all? Maybe you think she's half and half like I do? Or maybe another character's a Mary Sue? I'm excited to see what you guys think. Let me know.